So guys, it's me here, and today we are back for another video, and today we are going to be discussing the FA Cup semi-finals that will be happening on the 18th and the 19th of July at Wembley, and obviously it's going to be behind closed doors. If you guys do not know what behind closed doors means, then I'm going to tell you. It means that basically in the usual football match you have a crowd there of fans. So if like for example Arsenal are the home team, it will be played in their stadium and most of the fans will be home fans with a few away fans as well. However, behind closed doors means that there's going to be no fans in the stadium whatsoever. This could affect matches because usually the players gain momentum from the crowd chanting. This could be a big difference compared to teams that could be winning and teams that could be losing. Here, I'm going to be explaining to you the pros and cons of both teams and how this could affect the match in the semi-finals. We're going to start off with Arsenal, and as you guys know, I am an Arsenal fan myself. So I'm going to be trying to explain Arsenal's advantages and disadvantages, being unbiased completely. Arsenal are one of the successful teams when it comes to the FA Cup. They have won 13 FA Cups in the last few years. This means that with their momentum from the FA Cup winning and their normal success that they have, this could help them bring Man City, as they will know that the FA Cup is quite important to the fans, as the fans know that we're not going to get any success. Like, we're not going to get Europa League unless like something like a miracle happens. We're definitely not going to get Champions League, and we're definitely not going to win the league, as obviously a couple of days ago Chelsea beat Man City and Liverpool crowned champions. So with Arsenal knowing that they don't have anything else to play for, this will mean that they will build up their momentum even more, and it will make them want to beat Manchester City. Even though Manchester City is a hard opponent, if they perform at their absolute best and the defence is really good, then they do stand a chance of beating them. We now go on to Manchester City. Obviously, they are the favourites for these reasons. Since Project Restart, Man City have won 3 out of their last 4 games, which included beating Arsenal 3-0 and beating Burnley 5-0. This comes from the advantage if in July they are still have good form and they're still playing really well, they will bring momentum into the FA Cup semi-finals, which means that they could beat Arsenal. If we compare Manchester City's and Arsenal's form over the last couple of years, you will see that Man City have been the better and more consistent team than Arsenal. They have won the Premier League twice in a row, last season and the season before. They are also holders of the English League Cup 2 years in a row, after they beat Arsenal and then this year they beat Aston Villa. This could be a problem for Arsenal, as Man City will have the momentum of constantly winning trophies, and Arsenal haven't won a trophy in a few years now. Man City are also the holders of the FA Cup after beating Watford 6-0 last season, when they won 4 trophies out of 5 in that season. We're now going to look at the cons for both Arsenal and Manchester City. I'm going to start off for both of them and say that they're not going to have any crowd in there whatsoever, which means that they're going to have to gain momentum by themselves. However, as it's in July, they should have had a month to kind of get used to the fact there's going to be no crowds and just like get on with it and just build their own momentum from each other and encouraging each other and giving people like their instructions and that. So even though it is a bit of a con and it's not like people, like loads of teams need crowd momentum to like make them even better than they usually are, hopefully by that point they would have gotten used to the fact that they have no fans in there, which will help both the teams. We're now going to start off with the cons for Arsenal, and I hate to admit it, but I've got like 5 or 6 bullet points, so yeah, I'm not going to like reading this. As I'm saying, I'm being unbiased. I'm trying my best not to kind of be like, oh, I'm still going to win because I support them. I'm just trying to give my honest opinion on what's actually going to happen. So we're going to start. We're going to start with quite the obvious point that Arsenal won't have their main choice keeper for the semi-finals. This could be hard, as Leno, on his good day, can be really, really good. And even though Martinez has done really well the last few games that he's played, he's not going to have the experience of playing a big game like this than Leno would have. This could be costly for Arsenal, as Man City's striking duo with like Gabriel Jesus, Raheem Sterling are really, really good. And players like Kevin De Bruyne, if he gets given a free kick, I'm not convinced that Martinez will be able to save it. Since Project Restart has started, they have won one of their last 3 Premier League games. And even though they beat Sheffield United a couple of days ago, they still weren't at their best. And in my opinion, near the end, they were quite lucky to be able to get that win and to get that late goal, which got them into the semi-finals. The last time they played Manchester City was the first game of Project Restart, and they lost 3-0. This will give Man City more momentum than Arsenal, as Man City will be feeling more confident that they'll be able to beat Arsenal. However, knowing Mikel Arteta and what he says, like his manager, like he wants to be like as a manager, he'll be looking over what went wrong in that game, the red card obviously, and trying to change it and trying to make them better than Manchester City and try and make them play better than what they have been playing the last couple of games. Obviously, I am filming this like literally a couple of days after they beat Sheffield, so whenever this comes out, I don't know. But, like, if you guys say, oh, what this game, this is being played a couple of days after, this being filmed a couple of days after the quarterfinals, so I just wanted to let you guys know that. But, as I was saying, since Project Restart, they have lost a game that they really shouldn't have lost to, and that was against Brighton. I know that Leno did get injured that game, and, like, there was, like, a lot of, like, arguments, obviously, Guendouzi, like, did that to someone, but still they shouldn't have really lost that game. So if they are playing inconsistent, then if they turn up to the semi-finals playing really badly, then Man City could absolutely like walk all over them, and it won't be fun to watch at all, especially as an Arsenal fan. The last 2 points I'm going to say about the disadvantage from Arsenal are, the last couple of years they have not been known to beat really big clubs such as Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea. So, knowing that, I don't really see them in the form and the players that we have at the moment kind of getting over that and kind of beating them unless something really special happens and they play really, really well. This leads on to their defence. I know, like, also they've got quite a lot of players injured, which obviously isn't a good thing, but they need to improve their defence before they play against Man City, as I probably have already explained probably earlier on in the video. This could be a massive difference between winning and losing. If, as we saw, the Man City-Newcastle game, Newcastle's defence, even though they let in 2 goals, was quite solid. But if Arsenal's defence leaves gaps and like they aren't committed to tackles, then they're not going to be able to get themselves out their own half, and they're going to be conceding a lot of goals. We are now going to go on to the cons that Man City will have, and I've only got 3 points on this, probably not even that, which kind of does say something compared to the amount I had about my favourite team, which is kind of sad. Yeah, we move on. So, in the semi-finals that has been played a couple of days ago, Man City were all over Newcastle. Like the first 20 minutes, I think they did 118 passes. I don't even remember how many passes Newcastle did, but I know it was quite a big difference. However, they didn't really take their chances as much as they should have done. Like that game could have been like 4-0 or something like that. but they didn't take all their chances, which, as we can see, when some teams play against Arsenal, they could be all over Arsenal at one point, and then they could just counter-attack, and then like players like Aubameyang, Ceballos, Saka could break away and score. This could be bad for Man City, because if they don't take all their chances, that might happen against Arsenal. Depends how quick Arsenal are to get back. Also, we saw a defensive error in the Newcastle game, which nearly cost them a goal, but Gale kind of hit it over from a sitter, which, like, it can be done, believe me. And if that would have gone in, the game could have been completely different to how it was. So Man City, if they do that against Arsenal, and there's a player like Aubameyang, Lacazette, Saka, Ceballos, even Guendouzi, if Ozil finally gets played, chances are that might go in, and then the game, if like they're 1-0 up and Arsenal score the equaliser, the game will be completely different to kind of how it could have been. Even if Man City were all over Arsenal, if Arsenal get that equaliser, they will gain momentum and they'll like want to push on them, they'll want to try and beat them. So if City's defence isn't switched on all the time, then Arsenal, I doubt they probably will punish them that much compared to teams like Liverpool, will probably like punish them quite a bit, and they'll like kind of like show that they shouldn't be making mistakes and that their mistakes have consequences. The last thing I'm going to say about Man City's that could be a difference for them is that their main striker, Sergio Aguero, is out for the rest of the season, and he made quite a big impact to City ever since he signed for the club. Like obviously he scored the winning goal which won them the league title, and kind of like, if it wasn't for that goal, I honestly don't think they would be as good as they are now, because that goal kind of gave them momentum, gave them more money, which means they can like keep on buying players. They brought quite a lot of Arsenal players. Say that's Man United, but we don't talk of that. But I feel like he would have made quite a big difference, because not many teams can handle him sometimes. When he's in really good form, when he's having a really good day, sometimes the defence and the opposition cannot handle him. And I feel like they're going to be able to handle Gabriel Jesus, as we have seen at the when they played against Chelsea, a lot more. However, saying that, Man City's defence is like, I know I'm saying this in the con area, but Man City's defence is really, really good. As we saw against Chelsea, like Kyle Walker literally got back, and he did that, I think last year in the Community Shield when he did a bicycle kick. I think it was this year actually, when he did a bicycle kick against Liverpool. So even though they won't have their best striker for the rest of the season, which could affect them, their defence, I think, could still will be better than Arsenal's attack, which obviously isn't the greatest, but what can you do? So we're now going to go on to Man United versus Chelsea. So we're going to start off with the pros for Man United. So the first pro that I'm going to say is that since the Premier League has started up again, Man United have been playing a lot better than they were before. Even though that they got a draw out of Tottenham, they did nearly lose to Norwich, but we don't say that. But their performances have been better, and they have still been able to get results out of games. They still have been able to get a point or get 3 points, which is important, and if they carry on doing that, will constantly build their momentum. I think the next game is today in literally 45 minutes against Brighton, which I think I'm going to say this now. I'll put obviously in the writing below if they win or not. I'm going to say it's going to be 3-0 Man United. And obviously we saw them beat Sheffield, and we saw them draw to Tottenham, and we see them beat Norwich. So due to the fact that like they have had a really good start, if they carry on with that really good start, then they're going to keep on getting better, and I think that'll help them beat Chelsea in the semi-finals, and then kind of like whoever they play against in the final, they could win, or they could come second. In the January transfer market, Man United signed Bruno Fernandes. In my opinion, he has made such a big impact and big difference to the club already. Even like despite there was like I think it was like 100 game break, he's come back like better and a lot like stronger than how he was even before. So I think that if he starts with Paul Pogba, or even if Paul Pogba comes on as a substitution, or Bruno Fernandes comes on as a substitution, I still think that both of them together will make a really good duo and could like worry Chelsea's defence and could put a lot of pressure on Chelsea's defence. And Bruno Fernandes and Paul Pogba both have a lot of experience, and I think that will help them against quite a young Chelsea side, and I kind of feel like that might give Man United the advantage. Obviously they've got other good players such as Marcus Rashford, Anthony Martial, so I feel like because Man United's team is more experienced than Chelsea's team, that might give them the advantage that they have over Chelsea. We are now going to go on to the pros that Chelsea will have. So, in my opinion, I think Chelsea has been the team that has surprised me in a good way. Because obviously they weren't allowed to sign anyone at the start of the season. They had to make the most of their younger players and like their academy players that they have signed. And the players are like kind of like their subs and reserves. But they have really like done themselves like proud this year. Like they're a really young side and they are 4th. Like that's really good. And I hope that the younger team, as much as I don't really like Chelsea, like they can't like stay in that position. Cause I feel like they do deserve it. And even though they have like kind of had some like not that good performances, I kind of feel like they have done really well for the majority of the season, and that they have been quite consistent. Like players such as Mount, Pulisic and Abraham have really like proved themselves, and obviously like with Pedro and Willian as well, and Batshuayi, they've all kind of like come together and they're taking charge. And when I saw them play against Bournemouth, I think it was their last home game, it was quite annoying because I was in the Bournemouth end, but when they came on they did make quite a big difference, because even though Chelsea do have quite a young team, they do have some experienced players that could kind of help them in the semi-finals and that could help them beat Man United on the day. And also, unlike Man United, they beat Norwich, who are bottom of the table, in extra time at the last minute. Chelsea beat Leicester in the quarterfinals without any extra time or anything, which is obviously like not like an advantage, but you know what I mean, like there's kind of like a difference, and but it all kind of depends on the consistency. And if they're playing really well, like coming up to the semi-finals, I do think that they could have a chance to beat Man United. But I feel like that the Man United Chelsea game, I think, could be a lot closer than the Man City Arsenal game, but I really hope not, because I do want Arsenal to give Man City a good game. We're now going to talk about the cons that both Manchester United and Chelsea have, and we're going to start off with Man United. So, I can just name one player that could be a bit of a problem for Man United, and that is their goalkeeper, De Gea. Like the Tottenham game, he should have saved it. There's been like a couple months ago, before obviously Corona happened, there was like a meme that he had like a hole in his glove. So I kind of feel like De Gea could cost United the semi-finals if he doesn't play at his best. We all know that Roy Keane doesn't really like him, and that was kind of a funny interview. But I kind of think that if he's carrying on in the form that he's in, they'll have to play their other goalkeeper, which is also a disadvantage because he won't have the experience that De Gea has. But also, you kind of need to think, if he's being more consistent than De Gea is, then it's better to play him than it is to play De Gea. But I kind of feel like if De Gea isn't like playing his best and isn't in the best form, that really could cost Man United to go through to the final. Even though what I have said about how good Man United has started this season, they're not that known for being really consistent, like especially over the last couple of years. I honestly don't think that they have been the same since Ferguson left, and even though that was when I didn't even start secondary school, that is still quite a while, but they still haven't got back to the form that they have had when they had Ferguson. And I do feel like that they're not as consistent as Chelsea have been this year. So if they're not consistent going into the semi-finals, then they are going to struggle. And also, with the fans as well, they're not going to have the crowd, Man United won't, that will push the team on. And that is also the same for Chelsea. And I do feel like for both the semi-finals, the crowd is going to make quite a difference for the game, because usually you'd have like the crowds like shout, like give like enthusiasm, and like both the crowds like getting at each other. We're not going to have that in this semi-final, so the atmosphere is going to be completely different, and that could change the game, not just for Man United Chelsea, but also for Man City Arsenal. So I feel like that could be quite a difference, as I have probably already said in the video. I also think that Solskjaer's lineup could be a difference between winning and losing, because if they don't have a good start, then they're really going to struggle. Like the Norwich game, they didn't start Pogba and they didn't play Martial. I'm pretty sure Martial scored a hat-trick against Sheffield United the last game. Even though he was probably trying to rest him, he still should have played like at least some time. So I feel like if he doesn't start his best team, then he's really going to struggle. Man United will, and like Chelsea will just like make advantage to it. Even though he can bring them on the subs and they will make a difference, because obviously it's important to like kind of still have like good players on the subs bench, I still feel like they will struggle more, especially if they go like a goal behind. We're now going to go through the disadvantages that Chelsea will have. I'm going to start off with the main point, which obviously is the crowd, but something else. Their team is quite young, and even though I think, like, as much as I don't really like Chelsea because I'm an Arsenal fan, like, I honestly think that the fact they have younger players is a bit of a disadvantage, because they won't be used to playing like a semi-final before. Only like Kante, Pedro, Willian will kind of like have that feeling of like playing in like a semi-final, and I feel like that could like be a disadvantage to them, because if like the young players like get really overwhelmed and like don't play their best, and Man United will be at their best because they have more experienced players than Chelsea do. And I kind of feel like if that does happen to Chelsea, that is going to be quite a big difference in the game between winning and losing. And like their players like around like, I might be wrong, like 18, 19, 20, like majority of them. So it's going to be quite a big thing for them, even though the stadium's going to be empty, and maybe not having the crowd at them will be more of an advantage. I still feel like it'll still kind of like, I feel like because it's semi-final, they won't be used to playing a game as big as this, and I feel like that could completely throw them off. And I do kind of feel like that might happen to them for the rest of the Premier League as well. But also, they did kind of do really well against Man City to win Liverpool the title, so you just never really know. My final disadvantage that I'm going to say Chelsea has had is that the beginning of the season, even though it was at the start of the season, they lost to Man United 4-0, which is quite a big score. And as I have got on my phone, they haven't beaten Man United the last 3 games that they have played against them, which could be a disadvantage to them, as Man United will have... I just nearly dropped my phone. As Man United would have that momentum of beating Chelsea and knowing like what their strengths and weaknesses are the last like couple of games they've played against them, and I kind of feel like Man United have more of an advantage because they have beaten Chelsea the last 3 times. So unless like Frank Lampard kind of sees like what went wrong and how they could improve, I feel like that could be quite a disadvantage to them, and that could cost them the title. That could cost them the finals as well. For the last part of this video, I'm going to be predicting the 2 scores that will be happening. So, for the Man City Arsenal game, as much as I'd love it just for Arsenal to go into extra time and to possibly win, that would be awesome for them to go into the final, because obviously Man City are favourites to win the FA Cup and to win it 2 times in a row. I think it'll be 2-1 Manchester City. I don't really like to say that because I want Arsenal to get into the final, but unless things like massively change for Arsenal, I don't see them beating Man City, which is sad, but it's just one of those things, and hopefully the seasons to come, Mikel Arteta will build them up and build more confidence and like more team spirit, and then hopefully that will mean that they'll be able to like go on to like more FA Cups, more English League Cups, and hopefully get more silverware in the couple of seasons to come. I don't think they're going to beat Manchester City. I hate to admit it, but I really don't. But I do feel like it'll be 2-1. If they got through to extra time, then that'd be cool as well if it was 2-2, but I'm just going to stick that it's going to be 2-1 Manchester City. So, my prediction for the Man United Chelsea game, I'm going to say that it's going to be a draw after 90 minutes. I feel like it could possibly be 3-3. I kind of feel like there's going to be quite a lot of goals because Kappa and De Gea aren't the strongest keepers, and I kind of feel like there will be quite a few goals. I kind of feel like both the teams will be focused on attacking more than defending, so I do feel like it will end at 3-3. And obviously you'll go into extra time. I honestly don't see any goals being scored at extra time unless one each like could go to 4-4. But I do think that the game's going to go to penalties, and I feel like Man United, I think Man United could beat Chelsea on penalties just because they have that more experience, and like their players are kind of like used to playing in the cup final more than Chelsea kind of are like their players at the moment. Obviously next season will be completely different, like they've got Timo Werner coming next year, which I feel like will kind of make them a team to look out for next year. But I don't see them getting through to the FA Cup final. I might be wrong, but I don't see them. I feel like the final is going to be Manchester Derby, Manchester United versus Manchester City, and I feel like Manchester City will win 3-2, but obviously I can't really call that far. I'll do another video analysing the cup final as well. So yeah, that's just my predictions. Don't know if I'll be right or wrong. I'll do a video after the cup final, obviously in July, the cup semi-final in July, to see if I was correct or not. So guys, that's it for the video. I really hope you guys have enjoyed it. I really hope you guys have enjoyed listening to kind of what I think is going to happen in the semi-finals. Is it next month? Not really next month, in a couple of weeks' time. Please like, comment and subscribe. Obviously, comment down below what you want to see next, or like what other videos you want to see. I really don't know what's going on in the comments. I always go comment down below what you want to see, and then the comments are never on. I'm going to try and change that because they're on for like my football edit and my scooter edit, but they're not on for these type of videos, and I feel like I kind of need the comments to be on more for these kind of videos, kind of listen to your feedback and what you kind of think about the videos. And if the comments are on, also comment what your predictions are for the semi-finals, because that'd be kind of cool, listening to what you guys think and if you agree with me or if you disagree with me. And also subscribe, and I'll see you next time.